Welcome, students. Today, let us learn the very first poem in English. That is, Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Who was Rabindranath Tagore? Let me answer this question. Rabindranath Tagore was a great poet, philosopher, and artist from the Indian subcontinent. He was born on 7th May 1861 and died on 7th August 1941. He was known by his pen name Bhanu Singha Thakur and also known by his sobriquets Gurudev, Kabi Guru, and Biswa Kabi. He reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art in late 19th and early 20th century. He became in 1913 the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. His elegant prose and magical poetry remain largely unknown outside Bengal. He is sometimes referred to as the Bard of Bengal. His compositions were chosen by two nations as national anthems: India's Jana Gana Mana and Bangladesh Amar Sonar Bangla. The Sri Lankan national anthem was inspired by his work. His major work includes Gora means fair-faced, Ghare Bhaire means the home and the world, and Gitanjali means the songs of offerings. There are 157 poems in the book called Gitanjali. All were written in Bengali language. It has been translated into many languages including English. Where the Mind is Without Fear is a poem from this book Gitanjali. Its original title in Bengali is Chitto Jetha Bhagyashunyo. This poem was written when India was under British rule and Tagore lived during that time, and Indians struggled freedom. But for Tagore, freedom was more than merely political freedom from British. He dwelt on the theme of spiritual freedom, freedom of speech, mind, thoughts, belief, practice, and behavior. He also appealed to God for the economic and educational freedom for the people of India. As the book Gitanjali focuses on the all-pervading presence of God everywhere. Now let us listen to the poem carefully and attentively. Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where the tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. This poem consists of 11 lines in total. These lines are not divided into stanzas. Now let us focus on the first 4 lines. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where the knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. In these lines, the poet starts to imagine what he would like his country to be like. He says that no countryman of his should live with fear on his mind at all times. Instead, they should hold on their heads high up fearlessly and have confidence in themselves. Knowledge should be available to all citizens. That is, educational institutes should admit students of all races and classes. All the various regions of India and their people should be united instead of fighting amongst themselves for supremacy. They should fight together against a common enemy to determine their common fate. Now let us pay attention to the next four lines, where the words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. In these lines, the poet says that in India of his dreams, everyone should speak the truth. No person should lie for his own advantage. Every man should make an effort to improve himself and keep trying till he reaches a stage of self perfection. Next, he imagines the reason to be an unsullied stream of water through which one can progress easily and without encountering too many obstacles. On the other hand, he imagines habit to be a desert. The stream of reason seems to him to be lost in the sand of habit. This means that he is saying that the people of his country blindly believe in their superstitions at present, and he would like them to question these beliefs through application of logic. Now let us move on to the last three lines of the poem, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into the heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. In these lines, poet speaks directly to the God. He wants his countrymen to be led by God, so that they can broaden their horizon of both their thoughts and their actions. If they were to do so, then India would be transformed into heaven, a place where all citizens would be truly free. Now let us go to the poetic device of the poem. This poem is written in free verse. Free verse means a poetry that does not rhyme or have a regular rhythm. It is an open form of poetry which is free from the limitations of verse or poetry. Tagore's poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, is full of creatively used figure of speech, such as alliteration, personification, synecdoche, apostrophe, and metaphor. The lines which possess the figure of speech alliteration are: where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Here, the repetition of sound W and H is used for the poetic effect. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments. Here, again, the repetition of sound W is used for the poetic effect. Let's come to the next line, where words come out from the depth of truth. Again, the repetition of sound W is used. Let's move on to the next line, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection. Here, repetition of sound T and S is used for the great poetic effect. Now let's come to the last line of this figure of speech. Into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Here, the repetition of sound D is used for the poetic effect. Now, here are some examples of personification, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection. Here, tireless striving is given the human quality of stretching arms. The next one, into dreary desert sand of dead habit. Here, the habit has been given the human quality of death. The last example, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way. Here, the stream has been given the human quality of losing its way. Here are some lines which represents the figure of speech synecdoche. The first one, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Mind and head are the part which stands for the whole citizen. The next, where the mind is led forward by thee. Again, mind, a part, stands for the citizen, a whole. Last, into the heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Here, the country stands for the people of the country. Now, here are some exemplars of apostrophe, where the mind is led forward by thee. Here, it is a direct address to God as if He, the God, is present in front of the poet. Into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Here again is a direct address to the God who is present everywhere, or poet is addressing the Almighty. Now, here are the specimen of metaphor, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way. Reason is indirectly compared to clear stream for great effect. Into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Here, old habits, ritual, and custom have been implicitly compared to the dreary desert sand. Thank you for listening me patiently. I hope you enjoyed and learned too.